Hello Sagittarius, welcome back to my channel. I am Marianne and I will do the vibes inside for you today. I just dive right in, no spiel or anything, as I did with the Scorpio reading. I feel like some of the message seems to be related maybe to the previous readings. We all have each of the planets somewhere, more or less prominent in the zodiac, if you are into that. So I believe all the readings somehow may have some kind of aspect for you, maybe. I read about what I call the ego voice and the inner voice. And sometimes they go together, right? Sometimes they are best friends. And sometimes they really don't. They really don't. If you're going through a transformational time, I've said that many times on my channel, if you feel like something is building up in your life or something is just seeming to go all the wrong way all the time, you find yourself being ready maybe to make some kind of change. As I said in the Scorpio reading, it's sometimes change needs a sacrifice to like literally get the change done. You need to make a sacrifice, or maybe not what is supposed to be a sacrifice. If you look closer, it's maybe not a sacrifice. It's just a decision or a choice. But it can go very deep or it can be more superficial. You will know what it is for you, perhaps. So before I had the Scorpio reading, I found myself being drawn to I couldn't figure out the right word at that time, but it felt very precious and very innate and very deep. It came out later on as existence or existing, like pure existence. The real existence of Scorpio was extremely precious and had to be kept safe. That was kind of one of the messages from the Scorpio reading, but it links to the ego. And the ego always connects with the body. And the idea that we are mortal, we only live here once maybe. We don't believe in an eternal soul. We don't believe in, if you make that distinction, no wonder it's difficult to be in one body, right? I only have this one time to experience everything or to get everything right or whatever. So with your reading, Sagittarius, I have had a few days now that took me in a different direction, but still to the point of existence. But this was a very scientific one. Now I found myself reading about cell molecules, what needs to be present for life even to occur, even to from non-existence to life. What makes that difference? Right? And I figured out a lot of stuff about there has to be water present, there has to be certain, like the right temperature, there has to be sugar or photosynthesis, there has to be certain things available to a cell or a particle to join with another particle and actually choose to divide itself further. But even with a singular cell or singularity, scientists seem to still struggle with the fact when the cell chooses to live or not. And there's no such thing in science and with physicists. There is no such thing as a half-living cell. It's either living or not living. It's either living or dead. So I don't know why I say this, but this has been on my mind ever since I did the Scorpio reading. I kind of slowly take my energy away from Scorpio and try to connect with Sagittarius energy. And then this came up, all this stuff. It takes me right back to another reading I did way back, maybe half a year or more. I did a reading called To Be or Not to Be. Right? We know that story, holding the skull, right? And asking to be or not to be. That's the question, yes. But what does that mean? So either you live or you don't. Either you are here or you don't. Either you are alive or you are not alive. So I don't know, Sagittarius. I feel I have to go back to, one of my conclusions with that reading was something like, are you alive or are you not alive? Or are you living the life you want? Or are you not living the life you want? Are you choosing life and thriving, or are you choosing death and suffering? That kind of feeling. It all has to do with existence. We have life. I exist. You exist. We have a body. Our body exists. But what do you tell it? Like, are you... I get this feeling like there is some kind of existence issue at stake, at least for some out there, an existence issue. Something about, it could be something like, I'm not worthy of being here. I'm not worthy of living. We hear that sometimes, right? When soldiers come back from combat and their entire unit were bombed, and they say, it should have been me. I'm left here now with the leftovers of the grief. The grief, the sorrow, the bad conscience, the remorse maybe, links to that event where you lost someone lost some very, very dear friends. Soldiers in combat, they have each other's back. It's more than a friendship. It can potentially be your saviors, right? But when you come back from battle and you lost your entire unit, What do you feel? Some they are not even happy to be alive, right? They feel guilty that they are alive, that they are the only one surviving, the only one who can tell the story what actually happened. It's the only one that sees the mothers and the fathers of these young friends you had. I don't know why I say this, but maybe you have a situation like this. We all have been through the COVID, and still some of us are still struggling with this, maybe in your homeland. Maybe you lost family members, and you were the only one who didn't die or was not heavily affected by the COVID. Do you get my point? I get that I'm talking to someone who has survived something, but almost feels guilty for surviving something. So instead of being happy and thriving, that's not what's going on. It's the other way around. It's like something is haunting you, right? That's what I feel like. Tap into something like that. Something like that. Like it's the guilt of something. Like I should have done more. I should and ought have done something more to protect or to save or rescue something. So now it's like I live, but it's almost like I half live, because something seems to weigh on me that much that I can't live. It's like I don't have the right to live. Who am I? Why was I rescued? Why was I not why wasn't I killed? Why did I survive this? Let's say you are the sole survivor of a home burning situation or a car accident. Your parents, your siblings were killed. You were the only one who wasn't. And maybe this is deeply in your subconscious mind. I don't know. Maybe you were a baby. You don't even literally recall it like that. Maybe you got a new family. Maybe you have a foster family. Maybe you have others who care for you deeply and help you and love you. But there's still something that has not been attended to somehow. I get that feeling like I'm connecting with someone who lives, but they don't live. Do you get my point? Like, it's almost like I don't have the right to live. I don't deserve to live. I am not worthy of living. Who am I to be here? It could have been them, right? And they were so much better, or they knew so much more, they were so more accomplished, they were so more deserving. And I'm the one who doesn't deserve to be here. That kind of feeling. Like I'm living here, but I don't deserve it. It could even be someone who experiences a second chance. Like someone is giving you a second chance and you feel not worthy of it, maybe. Let's say you have served a long a prison sentence, and you get out, and what you did was maybe terrible, right? But what you got out, and now it's like life or society is giving you a second chance now, right? But it's almost like you haven't forgiven yourself, right? You haven't forgiven yourself for something. it still weighs on you, even if you know that the circumstances were not your fault. It's almost like you carry it as your fault. That what happened is carried as if it's your fault. And that makes it difficult for you to live your life, to choose to live. It's almost like I can't choose to be happy. That goes against like a core belief in you. Something that is maybe deeply embedded in you. So I talk about a guilt here, some kind of guilt. And then again, I come back to the scientific understanding of one cell, and whether this cell is going to live, so it's going to keep expanding. Of course, we take under consideration here that this cell has the right environment. We expect now that the cell has the right environment, the right water, the right or hydrogen. There has to be maybe oxygen. There has to be the right temperature. There has to be some kind of soil or something it can draw some kind of fuel from, or sugar, or maybe there has to be sunlight to create photosynthesis. But you get my point. There are all these like physical or chemical things that needs to occur. But there is something that has puzzled the scientists. And it is that the cell can either live or die. There is no in between. What determines whether the cell lives or dies? They don't know that. They don't know that either it lives or it dies. Who gets to choose that, or who makes the choice? They don't know that. Something within that particular little cell is deciding or choosing whether it can live or it can only die. So it's almost like I'm asking you, if you sit in a situation that I described earlier, what do you choose? It's like, could you potentially live more? Could you potentially do that? Is the environment correct or right for that? Could you potentially live more? Thrive more? Could you do that? And if you could that, why aren't you then? Because the suffering, the self-harm, the self-sabotage, the like overeating, or all this stuff, smoking too much, drinking too much, all this is just a slow death. It's like we go downwards, right? But it's almost like I have to almost like push you to decide, could you, in the environment you live in, and I'm just making this assumption, there is food, there is warmth, you have a bed to sleep in, you can close your door, you're not threatened by anything. I assume you have maybe some kind of support system. I assume you have just at least enough money to get by, that kind of thing. I get like the feeling that it's almost like I have to ask you, do you want a new beginning? Do you want to thrive? Do you want to feel okay? Do you want to release the burdens that you may carry? Or do you not want it? It's almost like, do you choose to be or do you choose not to be? It's almost the same question, like I'm asking it again. If you choose to be, you may need to sacrifice the suffering. It's a little, there's something like this in the Scorpio reading as well. You may need to sacrifice the suffering. Because the suffering is hindering you in thriving, or at least having a more neutral life, or a more balanced life somehow. The guilt that somehow seems to be present, or shame, or both, grief even, if you come back from, let's say, a war situation, like I mentioned, or some kind of terrible car accident, there could be an element of PTSD present. There could be some psychological factors that are hindering you, right? They are blocking something in your life. It's just the thing that puzzles the scientist is that it's such a small cell, right? Under the microscope, a little bit cell has the ability, has the power to choose whether it's going to live or not. Maybe this simply has to do with starting with putting one single thought in your mind, a tiny little single cell thought in your mind that says, I am allowed to live, or I'm worthy of living. No matter what I have experienced, no matter what happened, no matter how terrible it was, I have the right to live. I'm allowed to live. I'm allowed to be alive and thriving, even if this occurred. You just need one, right? You just need one thought that you keep repeating every day, right? You keep repeating it every day until maybe it becomes 2. And you let them grow, right? You let them be until it becomes 4, right? Then you have 4 cells, 4 thoughts every day that you keep repeating somehow. During the day, you will not remember it all the time, but during the day, you sit for 5 minutes, you repeat it for yourself. You write it down maybe. You write it down and you have it next to your bed, and every morning you look at it and you remind yourself, I'm allowed, I'm worthy, I'm alive, I'm alive, I'm worthy of living, I deserve to live, I have the right to have a good life, a thriving life, right? You keep those as a reminder Before you go to bed, you look at them. Before you stand up in the morning, you look at them. And you allow yourself to make the cells expand. But you only need one, right? You only need one. As I said, the cell decides whether it lives or not. You only need one thought. Even if it feels like David and Goliath, but one thought is going to be totally overswum or overwhelmed by all this other stuff I carry. Maybe, but you only need one. Only need one. That's what I feel like is maybe my message. You only need one. Again, if we carry a lot of grief, it's difficult to work with the grief in a big scale. Like to me, it hasn't made sense to, when people said to me, while carrying a lot of grief, when people were saying to me, just think happy thoughts, that kind of doesn't work for me, right? It's like it's too far away. The happy thoughts are too far away from the starting point. The starting point could be very low. And therefore, to aim for something as high as this is probably like an overkill, right? It's too, there's too much difference between those energies. It's if you feel you are melancholic, you feel a grieving sense, but you may not know where it comes from, right? Then you carry something. Whether you are aware of it or not, whether you remember it or not, you carry something. And that is, to work with that, I feel like we always have to start from the scratch, where you are. This idea, only think happy thoughts, right? But that doesn't work. It doesn't work like that, right? With the melancholy, with the PTSD, you have survived something that potentially could have wiped out your existence. Therefore, you experienced survival, right? Survival and happy thoughts, it doesn't go together, right? It's like there's a seriousness to the surviving part. There's a seriousness where we have to be very, very kind to ourselves. If we live in PTSD, we don't feel safe. So the happy thoughts, it's not even like, it doesn't work like that. You have to be your best friend here, right? If you want to deal with some of this yourself or try to heal something yourself, first of all, you have to decide as the one cell, you have to decide that I can keep living like this in some kind of misery here, suffering or grief, or I can start do something about it. Maybe you feel like therapists, they don't get you. That has been my experience. I've had no memory of my grief, where it comes from. I still don't have the full picture of it. I know more, I want to say, but I still don't have the full picture of why I've carried such grief, such melancholy, such guilt. I had no, always feeling that I owe something. I owe people something. If they help me, I owe them, right? I owe them something. I don't know exactly still, but I know enough now that the situation I was in was bad. I know enough also to realize that whatever happened, my survival instinct was woken up to the point that it had to do with my existence, like living or not living. And if you've had an experience like that, the body never forgets it, right? The body never forgets it, because here in the body and with the emotions, we talk about mortality. We talk about that the body can die. And at least most of us somehow don't want that. But we can still live in self-sabotage, right? We can still live in, we feel like the world is a difficult place to be in. We feel like people don't understand us. We numb ourselves, right? We eat the wrong stuff. We smoke. We take a lot of pills. We even to get by, even to just get up in the morning. We drink a lot of coffee. We drink, right? We use alcohol, or we use other kinds, sugar or something. Sugar is just as addictive as heroin, right? I drink stuff with sugar. I haven't detoxed myself. I'm in a process of figuring out how to do that, but it takes a while, right? My body is still clinging to some stuff. So I'm kind of figuring out how to do this. Because it's not just the sugar, right? It's also the thinking. The thinking is probably what carries the most problem here, because the thinking, and that's why I have a blue paper on the table today, because the thinking, and a blue quartz here today, is because it has to do with what we identify with, right? So what we identify with can become what we think. And what you think, your body believes. The body doesn't think, the brain does. The brain is part of the body, it's linked. The brain thinks. And it, at least in my own case, I have figured out how exceptionally brilliant it is to figure out how I have been amazed by the fact how brilliant my mind has been to keep me stuck. How many rabbit holes I was prepared, my brain was prepared to dig to keep me stuck in the survival, in the suffering part. I'm amazed by the fact how my body keeps reinforcing the threat to my brain, and how my brain derailed me in all kinds of ways. Got me stuck, got me sitting with the same emotions, with the same stuff all the time. So it takes a decision, it takes a choice. And never leaving it out of sight, right? And that's why I say keep the 4 thoughts maybe here. Keep the 4 thoughts beside your bed. Maybe write them on a piece of paper you have beside your work desk, right? Take it with you in your car, whatever. Remind yourself that you are worthy. That you have some kind of guilt perhaps, but it has to go, right? Say that you would say out loud you would like to work with that, so that you can release it, because you have the right to live. And if you suffer from some kind of guilt, even the 4 things I've said here, I'm worthy of living, I deserve to live, I have something amazing to contribute to this life, I have the right to live. These 4, something inside you should say, no, that's not correct. If you suffer from some kind of guilt, these 4 affirmations will feel wrong to you. They will feel wrong to you. Do you get my point? That's the point. We say them to trigger something. To trigger something here. To get something to the surface so that we can look at it, we can purge it, we can cry, we can punch a pillow, whatever we want to do. But it's to get it out somehow. As long as it's in there, it keeps you stuck. And I tell you, my mind, it has taken me down so many rabbit holes, so many. So much cynicism, so much self-critique, so much self-sabotage, so much, I can't even tell you. So even if I actually had a body that was physically alive, I was not living. Scientists say that you can't be half living, but that's what I felt. I felt I was half living, or even less than that. And of course, my body was listening all the time. It became worse and worse. I got sick. I became ill. I had depressions, or if you live with PTSD or something similar like this, you know what I talk about here. But it takes one cell. The cell chooses to live, or it chooses to die. And here there is this question again: do you choose to live or do you choose to die? I'm going to take the Akash here. This is the Akashic Tarot from Sharon Ann Krinkler and Sandra Ann Taylor. The Akashic Tarot, of course, the Akash links to, if you know what that is, it talks about this idea that consciously there is a soul book of record. So what your soul has experienced through lifetimes. There's a book that kind of writes everything down. All the memories of the soul, what the soul has learned. You would say it's a kind of growth book or experience book that tells us something about what it is that you have experienced. Maybe some of the stuff you carry is not even your own. Maybe it's from your parents. Maybe it's from siblings. Maybe it has to do with an entire like family disaster, right? Maybe it has to do with like karmic things from a previous lifetime that you carry with you in this lifetime. But let's have a look at this, what this could be. I feel like I connect with someone who is in that zone of like PTSD kind of experience. And it's a tough one, right? It's a tough one because it becomes very difficult to live after that. We also say that veterans from war come, and if they have seen and experienced and witnessed and felt certain very, very bad, or I want to say evil experiences, they can suffer from PTSD as well. So this can be something you have seen, you have witnessed it, you have felt it, you have smelled it, you have touched it maybe, right? And after that experience, something changed, right? Something changed. Like a part of you changed. But I get this kind of guilt feeling like I shouldn't have, why was I not killed? Or why was I the only one coming back and nobody gets me, right? We hear that also from veterans, right? They come back from war and it's like they just don't fit in with the family anymore. It's like what they have experienced changes them so much that they no longer can identify with their previous life. They no longer can identify with family dinners, right? And happy times. It becomes that difficult for them to somehow interact with that. It's too far away. As I said, it's like it's too far away from what I now feel that I can and want to be part of somehow. We could even say that I believe that people with PTSD are quite alert, like their nervous system is like always a bit on edge somehow, no matter what the circumstance was. You don't have you don't need to be a war veteran to feel like this. But whatever, it's like the nervous system and the amygdala is very. There's a lot of cortisol in the body, stress hormones, a lot of like being on edge kind of feeling. So you can keep the edginess, this stress thing alive subconsciously by just a simple thing like drinking coffee. Okay, and mix coffee and sugar, for instance. That would those two elements alone will keep your alertness up. It would keep the alertness up. So if your body needs to calm down, if you have an unsettling, uneasy body, stressed or tight or tightened up, tighten muscles, like you always kind of on edge, what you need to do is to do whatever you can to de-stress the body. Meditation, slow walking, doing everything slowly. Slow down your pace. You can learn prana breathing. You can take sugar and caffeine out of your diet, if possible. I'm not, again, I put out this out there, and I know it's too much. Like, choose one. Choose one of them and start with that one. And then see if you can somehow stick to it. Just stick to it. And then maybe you put another thing, right? You put one more. It could be something like, I decide from now on, if possible in your life, of course, but I decide from now on, I take an afternoon nap. And even if you can't sleep, I rest. Then it will be an afternoon rest. Even though you may feel like there is no real reason for doing it, I choose to. I deliberately, again, one thought. I deliberately choose now to do this. And even if your body feels uneasy, do it anyway. And you just tell your body, it's all right. Just relax. Again, the body follows your thoughts. So if you think negative thoughts, your body will become more heightened alertness. It believes you. The body believes you, right? It believes what you tell it. If you tell your body it's bad, or it looks ugly, or anything, you will feel more ugly. Your mind has such power, right? So become aware of that. And become aware of the words you say and speak to yourself. I even believe, in the case of this idea that you feel guilty for something, you may not remember what it is. You don't feel worthy to be here. You feel like you should have died with like anyone, the others, or I can't be happy without them, right? I can't be happy without them present. Me being happy without them present is like a betrayal, maybe. That's like a... And especially if I even feel guilty, right? Let's say you had a car accident. You were driving with your beloved, your spouse, your husband. And they were driving and you were sitting beside them. And you were having such good time. And you were laughing or singing, and you somehow derailed their attention to look at you. And in that moment, something happened. It created a car accident, right? And maybe you survived, but they didn't. So this idea that you you were maybe the reason somehow, like you contribute to what happened, and now they are gone. And having, like, feeling like I carry this immense feeling of grief and sadness because I lost them. But not only did I lose them, I actually contribute to it. Unknowingly, perhaps, in the moment, but now I carry the guilt and the remorse and the grief, right? So I cannot be happy. Being happy means that I release myself from the guilt and the grief. It could mean that I choose not to honor them anymore, right? I choose not to honor what happened anymore. And I want to honor it because it was my husband, or these were my guys from my unit, right? This was serious matter. I cannot not honor it, right? I cannot not honor it. And of course, it's your choice. But you also have to ask yourself, those guys from the unit, would they, if they could speak to you now, would they tell you to suffer? Would they tell you to carry that grief and guilt? If you lost a beloved or you lost your family, would they wish for you to live in pain? Would they wish for you to carry some old stuff around that keeps you from having joy in your life? I don't know who I'm talking to here, right? But I'm talking to someone. Maybe just one or two of you, I don't know. But there's something, it feels like PTSD here. In whatever sense this may be, it feels like something very, very heavy, big. And that's the point. The reason why we experience PTSD is because something that occurred that was too big. It's too big. It's too big for our body to handle. It's too big for our psyche to handle. It's too big of a pressure. It's too big of a flame, too much heat, too much cold, too much noise maybe. Right? Too much. Usually war veterans, they retrieve to something that could resemble like suburbs, or at least maybe near nature, because living in a big city with all that kind of noise is very triggering for them. I have the same experience. I can't live, or I choose at least not to live in a very big city with a lot of traffic and noise and stuff. A lot of mental traffic, a lot of visual traffic, like a lot of stuff. There could even be something about decluttering, having less stuff can also help. But again, only one. Just take one, right? One, and choose one thing. Because like feeling that you should rebuild your entire life, that it doesn't apply like that. You start just with one thought, maybe just one thought, that it would be okay to live more. It would be okay to enjoy the sun, right? It would be okay to feel grace for just a little minute. That's what I feel like for whomever I talk to here. But again, as I said, the cell decides whether it's going to live or not. When I say decide, it's almost like it has a consciousness, a brain. I don't think it has, but something chooses within the cell whether it can live or not, whether the circumstances are favorable enough for the cell to actually live. So you have to ask yourself about your environment also. Is it favorable enough for you to thrive? Does it give you a peace of mind? Does it help you breathe even? Breathing is actually quite important. Most of us have superficial breathing. I recommend the prana breathing. You can look it up. There are many YouTube videos about this as well. Very simply said, it has to do with an exercise. It's not something you do all day. But if you sit quiet in your living room, you can take just a few minutes doing this kind of breathing. Or if you choose to take an afternoon nap, you can do it while you rest. Shortly put, it has to do with, let's say you take a breath in on the count of 4. So breathing in, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you breathe out on 4, but slowly, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can say 4 and 4 and 4. Like inhale on 4, hold the breath, exhale on 4. You can even practice what I call is belly breathing, like we don't necessarily only breathe on top of the lungs, but you breathe further down. So you expand your belly out. When you breathe in, you expand your belly out, holding the breath a little bit, and then exhaling again. And your belly goes in, right? So that's another kind of breathing that's also very effective for stress or like high level of anxiety. I have no idea whether PTSD can go away. Like when you do all this such stuff, all kinds of stuff you can try in your life, if it's going to go away, I don't know that. I just know that if you have experienced something like that, you have to manage your life differently. You have to manage your body differently. Like existing on earth becomes different than it was before. Or before the incident, the trigger happened, right? Your life before and after, it's different. So no matter what people tell you, you have to somehow maintain a different lifestyle, choose a different place of living, maybe a different job, different requirements or less requirements, more time in nature, maybe more stillness. It's like it's because the body experienced an overwhelm, and now so it's like it's cooking, right? It's cooking, and now it's like you have to somehow figure out to release the steam so that it becomes like 37 degrees again, right? It has experienced an explosion of emotional overwhelm, and it has to learn how to close again and drop down, and that can be a difficult process unless you do something about it, unless you decide to do something about it and like really like honor yourself also in the process, not only honoring others and the loss that you have experienced, but also honor yourself in the midst of it. You're the one sitting now with all the guilt, all the remorse, all the sorrow, all the grief, all the pain, all the suffering. You're the one sitting with that. Maybe give yourself a little credit for that also, and realize that to get yourself out of it, you can stay where you are or you can choose. It takes only one, right? It takes only one little cell or one single thought to do something different. Okay. I'm so very drawn to the flames here. It's so easy, I can just blow it out. It takes just a little, right? That even tells me something like, if you find yourself that a small blow at you can actually distinguish existence for you, like a small, I'm talking to someone who feels very unprotected or very, like the slightest little, blow could knock you over. That's a very unsafe place to be. I'm very sorry, Sagittarius, if you feel like that. But I still have to say that you can change this. You can change it. You have to become aware how powerful your mind is. Your mind controls what your body feels. If you think there's danger, your body reacts to it. You can change how your body feels by what you think, right? Become very aware of your perception. And look also, I want to say look with clear eyes, because I have found this myself, that even if I walked in my neighborhood, and it is a safe neighborhood, nothing happens there, I could still be on edge. And I had to ask myself sometimes while I was walking, why am I on edge? There's nothing here. There's not even a person around me. There's only a little butterfly, maybe a bee, and nature. Why am I on edge? I live in a country where we don't have like animals that are a threat to human life. We don't have lions here. Why am I on edge? Right, so I had to ask my brain that, right? Or my body, why are you on edge? Or why am I on edge? Because there's nothing here. There's nothing here. Once there was something, and after that experience, I had a difficult time of uncooking myself or gathering myself together again. Once there was something, but it's not here anymore. It's not present. At this current moment, it's not present. If you find yourself living with that kind of anxiety, you live in the past. You are still there. You're still there. You're not in the current moment. Okay. Okay, I feel like I'm guided to put out cards like this. At the bottom of the deck, I get One of Forces, the Akash field. One of Forces would, for me, be something like Ace of Wands. The Akash field, that there's something about One of Forces and then the Akash field. One talks about like beginning, right? The first encounter or the beginning. It's almost like I get, and the Akash field, it's like the battlefield. The first one that created the Akash. The first one that was an Akashic field of experience, where we started writing in the Akashic Book of Records. Something happened here. The Ace of or First of Forces, Ace of Wands in my case here, I see it a little bit like, I wouldn't say maybe the first existence, but maybe the first encounter with like survival mechanisms, right? The first encounter with survival mechanisms, and it can be from this lifetime, but it can also be from another lifetime. The Akashic field. Interesting. First of forces. It's the underlying energy, so this is what is driving something. This is what is underneath it all. The experience you may have or what you're going through, it's because of this, right? It's the driving force of it. Like the Akashic field, the aurora borealis flows with energy and brilliance as charged particles from the sun interact with atoms in the Earth's atmosphere. So interesting, I talked about particles, right? And I talked about photosynthesis and, well, anyway. So, like the Akashic field, the aurora borealis flows with energy and brilliance as charged particles from the sun interact with atoms in the Earth's atmosphere. The 93 million miles from the sun to the Earth is nothing compared to the limitless consciousness of the Akashic field. All information, power, energy, and experiences vibrate within this realm of unending truth and possibilities, and every bit of it can be yours. Receiving this card upright tells you that amazing opportunities abound at this time. You can increase and accelerate the experience by opening the doors to the Akashic field and records. Your life force energy resonates with universal synchronicity now, so you can explore the records and receive exactly the information that you need and the energy that can help. Engage in this pursuit with a conscious focus. Write your intentions and ask for inspiration. Meditate on the Akashic field and visualize your goals. The universe is ready and willing to align with your heartfelt desires, and now is the time to make them happen. I did say that, didn't I? Write it down. Think about it. When you wake up in the morning, before you go to bed, you can even sit, close your eyes and meditate on it. But if you're not into meditation and you find it difficult, people with PTSD often do, then choose consciously, right? Engage in this pursuit with a conscious focus. As I said, keep a focus on it. It seems like the ability to look at this is actually here. And interestingly enough, the current front for my videos at this point in time is an aurora borealis. If you look at the videos, I actually chose this picture like that. So the Akashic force says, close your eyes and imagine yourself entering the boundless and brilliant Akashic field. It's almost as if you are stepping into a Milky Way, and all its stars roll out before you, offering their light and power. Feel this profound force igniting your dreams and lighting your way. I even want to say in this, there could be a sense of asking God for help or asking a deity for help here, right? If you close your eyes and you imagine yourself entering the boundless and brilliant Akashic field, you also allow yourself to explore more than what is on earth. You explore more than the human experience. You explore that, and you ask for some kind of something other to help you. It says here in the book, the 93 million miles from the sun to the earth is nothing compared to the limitless consciousness of the Akashic field. There is all the information, all the power, all the energy, and all the experiences out there that you need to maybe change your current existence, especially if you're hurting, right? But I even want to say with the first here, the ace of, or the first of forces, the one of forces here, is that it's like the experience field of the Akashic, and then the one. So there's something about go back to the one, go back to the first, right? Go back to the original you, and to do that you may need to open the Akashic book. You may need to sit still for a while. Some say you can ask your guided guardian angels to show you. You can ask, just say out loud in the room that you would like your angels or guides to help you. Bring some of this forward. Maybe it comes up in dreams. Maybe you suddenly have a certain epiphany about something, right? I feel like I want to start here, the chess game. 3 of keys. So it could be the feeling that, well, the chess game is about strategy, right? It's about seeing ahead. It's about being very much aware of your opponent or enemy. Maybe you feel like you are in some kind of enemy with some kind of maybe a mind game, maybe some kind of situation, conflict with someone. The chess game is a game. It has to do with who wins. There could be a power struggle in your life with someone or something. Maybe you feel like the game or the chess game here has to do with the PTSD, like maybe or maybe a mental illness or something, that something has, like you are struggling with something inside you, maybe. Like we could even say that the 2 colors here represent body and mind. So you have a body that has one experience, and you have your mind that goes in another direction. As I said, do you get my point? Like this feels like a conflict where 2 opposite opponents meet, right? And they can make different steps, right? And somehow kill each other or annihilate each other, right? Or annihilate a pawn or a piece here. It could even be that you feel like life is like a chess game, like living in the world feels like this. There is constantly an opponent. There's constantly something that can knock me over. There's constantly something or someone, even my own consciousness or even my own thoughts, can knock me over. Like it can... we could even talk about defense mechanisms here, right? Because that's what chess is also about. If a certain piece is threatened, you make certain steps to avoid that, right? So there could be like a constant feeling of being on guard, being alert, looking around you, right? Observing the chess piece or the chess game all the time. It could be the feeling that you are observing people in your life, whether they are actually good for you or not. Are they playing a game with you? Are they your opponent or a supporter, right? Or a beneficiary or a... are they on your side or not on your side? Which side is winning? Here we can even talk about living and not living. Which side is winning, right? Is it a constant battle to try to live, while something else feels like it may be defeating you? But there's another choice, right? You can take yourself out of the game, so that you are no longer here on the game, in the game. You are out here observing it, like you are looking at it now. If you can take yourself out here and you start to look at this, whatever this is for you, you observe it now. Right? That's a very powerful thing, to be able to do that. To become the observer of something. Even observe yourself. If you are in the game with something here, observe yourself. What happens? What are they saying? How am I responding? Do I get triggered? Does it overwhelm me? Maybe if this one overwhelms me, I shouldn't be around such person or such thing, right? Or if this is coffee or if this is alcohol, maybe I shouldn't. Every time I encounter this, it's like I get out of balance, right? I get defeated. So take that how it resonates for you. These chess pieces are just circumstances in our life. It represents something. Maybe you need to become very aware of these pawns or these players. Again, are you a player? Are you caught in your own mind game here? As I said, right, I said something like, I have been amazed by learning how brilliantly my mind kept me stuck. How many rabbit holes it created. How many new chess games it started. How it kept reinforcing my guilt. How it kept reinforcing my shame. How it kept, I saw myself go back to situation, to people, to diet habits, to I returned to a default setting of pain or suffering, and how my mind kept brilliantly instructing that, and how I with my body, and the rest of me somehow just participated. It is possible to get a different viewpoint. To me, it was something like recognizing, like almost like a paranoid version of me. But the paranoid thing always links to the body, the emotions, the sense of mortality, the sense that I have to fear something. I even have to fear for my life. I'm not safe, right? I feel unprotected. I feel unsafe, unsecure. I feel like a target or like a prey or something. As long as I observed myself like that, and my mind brilliantly kept myself stuck in that kind of mentality, I couldn't get out. I couldn't get out of it just like that. But it took one, right? I have to reinforce that. It takes one thought that you keep a very strong focus on, conscious focus on it. And you go with that for a while, and then suddenly maybe it becomes two. And then you go with it for a while. Then it becomes maybe 3 or 4, right? You go with that for a while. You keep going with that for a while. And you will find defeat, you will find dropping back. It doesn't mean that everything is done. Just regain the focus. Two of Keys, the treasure. Two of Keys, the treasure. To me, it talks about a treasure, but I don't see that he has one. Actually, it looks more like he has been trying to strip his room to find it. It looks like he's searching. He can't remember where he put it. Like that's kind of when I look at him, it feels to me like where did I put the key? Where is the key to the treasure? Where is the key, right? He has looked in the closet behind him. He has tipped this one over to see if it's here. It's like he's standing and looking for it. Okay, so this idea about looking, searching, looking for something. Some kind of answer, something that opens the treasure. Something that allows you to see the portal or to have the new beginning. But somehow, I'm also drawn to the fact that we have a new moon out here. There could be something about becoming aware of the new moons. You can make rituals when the new moon comes. The new moon is about new beginnings, so you can start a cycle of something new if you get interested in that. Just start something new, one new thing, just one new thing. I feel like a search here, like searching for something. It actually feels better to me than this one. The search for maybe healing, or the search for solution or something here, is better than being stuck in some kind of game here. If you become an observer and you start looking at this, and you kind of, even if you go back in time, it is still the Akash, right? This can even tell you something, that you have had maybe more than one lifetime, where there has been chess games here, power struggles, right? Could be like king and pawn, or David and Goliath. This element of big and small, dominance, submission, that kind of thing. But if you become aware that you're shown a picture like this, this is your life, it has been like that, then you can now start looking at it like, okay, I have been in this stuff. And I had to be very clever here to survive in here, right? That if you are on this piece here, and you play the game, and you have no way of escaping it, you have to become clever, figure stuff out, right? Even maybe become manipulative. Maybe your mind is manipulative. I don't know. I certainly figured out that my mind, to a certain point, was manipulative, especially towards myself. But if you become an observer, and you can suddenly see that there may have been dynamics going on here, and I have been involved in stuff like that. Especially if you, as I said, you had like a PTSD experience, you had something overwhelm you. That could be the dominance thing, right? A control or dominance thing. An overpowering kind of feeling. You will know that maybe this has been in more than one lifetime. Maybe this is a pattern. But what it can do is that it actually leads you in some other direction. So from just being caught in the system, you could say, or being left out to dry, or just rot in your misery, it can lead you into a search for the exit, right? The exit, looking for the exit point of this game. How can I get myself out of this game here? So you start searching for something. Instead of just accepting the situation, you start searching for something. Or you have been searching for something. Searching for the key, the exit point. How can I get out of this matrix, perhaps? How can I get out? What is my way out? Looking for a way out. at least I feel like it's still better than feeling that you are trapped somehow. That whatever this is, this can never change. This can be something like, it could be a health thing. Maybe you feel like you had an invasion of health issues and you're trying to figure out how to cure it, right? That would be the solution here. Take it how it resonates for you, right? But this leads you in a direction of searching for something. So instead of accepting a situation as it is and seeing no way out of it, even though, and that's the interesting thing about the chess game, even though that both parties have the exact same amount of pawns and powers, the idea is that even though you are up against an equal opponent, you can win something. It has to do with strategy and perception, right? So being the most clever here is the winner. So there could have been power games like that, mind games like that going on. Or even lack of, like you thought you couldn't be clever enough to win. Even though you have the same amount of pieces, chess pieces on the board. You are equally as strong, but if you don't believe you are, you will lose, right? So again, it has to do with perception. If you believe that you can win, that you are strong and you are the most powerful player here, nobody can defeat you, you will probably win. If you not only think it, but you actually feel it also, you're certain about it, it's embedded in every cell of your body, then you will win. Because nothing in your consciousness allows for defeat. It only allows for success. So defeat is not an option, right? It's not even a possibility. It doesn't exist in your mind. Then you will have a fairly good chance of winning here, right? Here again, it talks about how you see yourself, your confidence, right? Your perception, it controls everything here. But it seems like there has been a situation, a strugglesome situation. You're looking for some keys here, an exit point. How can I get myself out of this? Or how can I heal myself, my body or my mind even? How can I do that? Looking for some keys. And the keys, I feel like, are probably linked to whatever an original, something originally here occurred at some point. Something originally occurred. And this is maybe what you have been looking for, the original trauma or the original reason or the original accident or incident or experience here. I still think the search is a better place to be than just being at a stalemate, not seeing a way out of something. The search gives you purpose, right? Where here there is no purpose. There is just surrender or some kind of feeling of disempowerment. Here you're searching, so it gives you a sense of hope, mission, determination. It allows you to also witness yourself be something else. So becoming a searcher, And it says the treasure here, so you're looking for something better, right? You're looking for something more abundant. Trying to figure out how to have your exit so that you can open that treasure. The search is better because it gives you mission, it gives you purpose. And again, also because it has to do with you now, right? Maybe you will experience that it has to do with more than you. It could be that you are diving into an old family tragedy, right? And you want to find answers. This can be a search for answers also. You want to find answers about something that can help you move forward. And to do that, you have to figure out the original stuff here, the original trouble, right? Or the original trauma or incident, as I said, right? You're looking for some kind of answers. And to have your answers, you may need to go back to the beginning, like you have to go back in time, maybe to your childhood here. Like literally go back all the way back to your existence, when you were born, perhaps. Did something happen when you were born? Was it a difficult birth? The first early weeks or years, were they very difficult? Did something particular happen? Do you have those answers? If you don't have them, you may have been looking for them here. You want to look for them because at least they give you a sense of caring about something, caring about yourself, and the potential of actually getting the answers. The answers that can also answer the questions why you feel stuck today. Or you felt stuck. Or you felt bound in a game somehow here. You go looking for some answers here. It gives you a sense of purpose and mission. And something that has to do with your own experience. Right? This here we only have one person. This has to do only with you. Here there are a lot of players here. So I get the feeling from being in some kind of matrix or some kind of experience here that you may have felt kind of stuck in. Allowing yourself to be able to observe that from the outside. Maybe even you like looking back and you have seen yourself, the choices you made. Like chess moves you made, right? And why you made those chess moves. Why did you make those and not others? Right? And maybe looking for those answers. Why? What determined my choices? And you may need to go back. And when you go back, you will find some of these keys. And this is where I feel the stillness is important. The stillness allows us to connect with the body, to actually listen to it. If we constantly hear music, and again, if you make the body still, so if you can calm it somehow, it will maybe be able to speak to you, right? It will allow the dreams to come forward. It will allow maybe the more difficult stuff also to come forward. But as I said in the Scorpio reading, Earlier on in life, I didn't understand when I felt tremendous fear. It only scared me even more. Now I realize that if fears come up, it's not because it wants me to feel more fear. It wants me to suffer more. It comes up because it wants to be released. It wants to be understood. It wants to be honored maybe, or it wants to be cleared out of the way. So if every time I keep repressing it, it can't seem to get out, right? It can't seem to come out somehow. So we have to calm the body down from the explosion you have felt at some point. You have to calm the body down. Make sure you have a safe environment. And I know that can be easier said than done, but at least find one. Go and sit in the woods for maybe an hour. Choose to do that before you go back to your space, your living room, your flat in the city maybe. Go and have some time away from something that, or choose to attend to a yoga class or meditation class where you can sit silently. That's the entire purpose of going there, right? So like you can go to the gym, you can go and do this as well, but it has to be a conscious focus. It has to be something you choose to do. If not, you will probably do what you normally do. You drink your coffee, you eat what you do, you hear music, you smoke, you derail your sad thoughts so that they don't come to the surface, because they don't feel good, right? They make you feel even worse. But it's because it wants to come up to be released. It wants to come up to be felt and purged and released. That's the entire point of it. So the looking for answers here may come with a sense of aloneness or stillness. Maybe this is like the guy who sits in his wooden cottage in the woods alone. Going there in the on weekends, right? To be alone, to contemplate, to think, to feel, to just be. But there's they're very two different images. There's a lot going on here, a lot of pieces, or people, or circumstances here, where this is a very alone, isolated sense of experience. So the answers you're looking for, maybe you need to go on an adventure or a trip or an inner journey yourself here. Nobody can do it for you. And maybe it's a long search. Like maybe you literally have to go through all your stuff, or old papers, or old video clips, or maybe you have to gather papers from the city hall if there has been something like that going on, like case social security case files or something like that. maybe you have to go back to the hospital and find your birth records, and if there is something specific about that, if there have been notes about your how you came into the world, circumstances about your upbringing, right? Maybe you need to ask your family and friends, or friends of the family. Can I get another card on the treasure card, please? Because it feels a little bit to me like he's searching here for the possibility of treasure or answers or whatever this is, or a way out, a solution, a sudden healing or something like that. But aloneness is, or silence or stillness is not it will be a travel of good and bad, right? It will be a travel of getting to understand like deeper elements of ourselves. How we may have avoided stuff, and as I said, how my brain figured out ways to kind of avoid stuff, but still being directed by a certain belief system, still sticking to that, not allowing something to come in and change that. How strong my ego was. How strong my ego was, how strong the ego voice also was, right? The thoughts I kept hearing, that I said to myself, the stuff I told myself. Terrible, terrible stuff. And it all comes down to some core beliefs, like some inner core beliefs, but this card came out upright and there is opportunity to change it, right? So I feel like whoever I'm talking to here, they are on a brink of figuring something out. The search you have been on is paying off, I think, here. Even if he looks at this point like he still haven't figured it out, right? Like he still haven't figured it out. I want to say one of the things that needs to change when you are searching for something here is the entire idea of searching. I have to figure this out. I have to find the answers. I have to find the proof, or I have to find the records of what happened at that time. You don't need to search for it. You just have to imagine that it's already here. As long as you keep searching, there will be and always will stay something out of sight. That's the law of attraction. If you keep searching, the universe will say, okay, you're searching, we give you searching then. You want to search, we give you searching. So they put something in front of you that inspires you to search even more. That can become a rabbit hole. But the search is still better than a stagnant situation, I want to say. But eventually, when you have been searching for a while, you should stop searching. You should say to yourself, the answer is within me. It's already here. And then we simply have to be like, we have to be patient with ourselves. It doesn't come, the answer you're looking for, the situation that you want to know more about maybe, or why you feel guilty, or why you feel like you do, it doesn't come overnight. You have to be patient, but still just repeating it, right? Repeat it. You have the Two of Wands come out here as a crossing card. So and we see how the stag is in between those two wands here. The stag is like the sun in this deck. The sun is happiness, right? Joy, abundance, light, fun, good times, passionate times. And we see also strength here, right? We see maybe as even a sense of, like, I wouldn't say pride, but definitely something about knowing that I hold my head high, I know who I am, I feel proud of myself maybe, proud of myself. I'm worthy, I'm respected, I'm honored. That's kind of the image of the stag here. But it came out as a crossing card, so it's almost like being torn between two different wands here, two different fires, two different existences, I even want to say. I've tried to figure out what exactly makes makes life. So out of no life and into life, what is it that changes everything? So physicists would say that it's, well, one particle or atom collides or meets up with another. And they can, if they are opposites, like an electron and an electron and a positron, they can, because they are opposites, they will be drawn to each other, right? I believe also electron and protons can be drawn to each other, depending on their charge. So they have a charge, they have a positive or negative charge. When they come together, some kind of lightning or something occurs. That's like the life spark. It's the very primitive, very primal and primitive start of life. Some kind of ignition happens. Something happens. And again, it's almost like the cell decides whether it's living or not. If it collides with something and it merges with it, there is two choices. It can either live or not live, depending on the circumstances it's in. It lives or it doesn't live. It's almost like, when I see the card, it's like the fun and the worthiness and everything you want to feel is it's like it's pressed from two sides, like there's one will and one belief system on one side and another on the other side that kind of keeps it trapped. Do you see what I mean? It feels like it's entrapped between two very fiery belief systems here. Something is keeping him trapped. Two of Wands to me can talk about indecisiveness, not knowing which one is the right way to go, but also something about wanting something more, wanting a better choice, but not knowing exactly how to get there necessarily. It's crossing, so I do feel like there is a sense of wanting better times, but at the same time maybe not feeling you deserve it, right? Or even fearing it, right? Because I know what I have, but I don't know what I'm going to get, even if it's supposed to be abundant. What does that mean? If it has to be abundant and fun and light and thriving, then I can no longer suffer, right? Because those two don't go together, right? You cannot thrive and suffer at the same time. So I have to give up a part of my identity. I have to sacrifice the pain and the suffering to thrive. Why is that difficult? Well, it can be because it's not what you identify with. If you don't identify with thriving, being proud of yourself, being worthy, being happy, feeling great in life, then it's like it's just another mask, right? It's like putting on a mask, but it's not the real you. You don't feel it, right? You can say it, but you don't feel it. So the person you can become, you have to decide to become it first and foremost. And you start with your thought process. When you think it enough and you repeat it enough, eventually your body is actually believing it. The more you start feeling it also, the more it becomes more and more, you could say, stored in you somehow. It gets stored in you. But as long as you are not there, as long as you are searching, as long as you have implemented two things in your life, you don't have that. It's not stored yet. It's a process. So you have to be very patient with yourself and kind. But I feel like you're getting closer here. It seems like something is... I'm saying getting closer. That still means that you're searching. Maybe stop searching and just believe that it's already within you. The answers are here. You have the answers already. Another flyer here. The Fool, yeah, but it's reversed here. The Fool is like, the Fool is the young person who has enthusiasm and believes in himself. I am going out there and create my abundance. I feel confident. We see how the dog is trying to pull him back on land here, like on the cliff. Because if you walk over the cliff, you can fall down and hurt yourself, right? He's trying to warn the Fool, but the Fool is so kind of happy and joyous and believes he can do this, right? Like, I believe I can do this. I am confident, I'm enthusiastic. I have this new abundant life. I can go out there and just enjoy myself. I can juggle everything. I know I'm capable. That's the Fool, right? Having a brand new beginning here. This is maybe the newborn, right? That doesn't know what's coming. It just is, and it feels great. But this came out in reverse. It's like you don't have that feeling. You don't think that you are the Fool. You don't identify with this enthusiasm and joy and like adventurous excitement about going out there. It's like someone doesn't have that. The adventurous excitement about life is not there. It's not really present. And therefore, when you don't have the feeling, you start with your decision, right? You start with a choice in your mind. The feeling is not there yet, right? Something may feel trapped. And the worthiness and the feeling is not there. You have to start somewhere else. You use your brilliant mind. Why did I do that? I have already. Maybe it wants me to shuffle. I shuffle. But I want a card on the treasure here. I want another card on that one. Because I feel more like you haven't found the treasure. I think it is available to you. But you have been looking for it, like searching for it. And I say, if you have been searching, if you have come this far, you've gotten yourself out of this, perhaps, you're now searching for something. You're on some kind of mission here. If you are here, I want to say stop the search. Believe that it's already within your possession. The answers is within your possession. This is already here. The answer is already here. You have that answer already. Ace of Cups. You are looking for, well, Ace of Cups is, it can talk about the new beginning of something lovely or something heartfelt, something true, right? True and heartfelt. The treasure, but there's one cup here. The Ace of Cups for me usually has to do with discovering self-love. Discovering self-love. That's the true treasure here for you. It cannot be found in exterior circumstances. Well, you can find answers in some kind of papers, and so you can find a truth maybe in some kind of papers. You can find it within yourself, but the way how to heal it is with this. It's with the self-care, the self-nurture, the self-understanding. It's the release of self-sabotage, perhaps. It's the release of playing games here. Even mind games with yourself or others, right? It's the treasure comes with understanding that the care you give yourself, the attention you give yourself is the best investment ever. This is the treasure you can give yourself. From that you will have the sense of true abundance. that is the treasure that you may find in your search. The search takes you through this, I feel like. Many moon cycles maybe here. It takes you through many moon cycles, maybe many lifetimes. The Akash can, when you go down that aisle, you can find a lot of answers. We see like the eye here, right? It's like you become able to see something. You will see yourself differently. You will actually be able to look at yourself. Maybe you look at yourself in the mirror. And you literally have to figure out, what do you like about yourself, right? And if you don't like anything, you start with one. You start with one. I have nice ears, right? Or I have beautiful eyes. Or I have nice toes. Or whatever. I have a cute belly button. You start with just one, right? But that's what it takes. It takes this. The treasure is not necessarily the answers, but it can be how you manage to go through the answers you find. You may find answers, but how does that make you feel? Maybe you need to purge. Maybe you need to cry. Maybe you need to punch a pillow, as I said. Maybe you need to really take a different look at yourself, your body, your entire existence. Maybe there is forgiveness here. Maybe there is forgiveness of self. Maybe there is of all the choices you've made, maybe, or difficult choices you've made. Maybe there is something like attending to your body, right? Seeing your body differently. Real honoring it, honoring what it has been going through, what it has been feeling, how you have been feeling, right? The self-care here can also mean that you choose, instead of going to the gym and stress your body, you choose to go to a hot spa, right? Or you choose to have a massage, or you choose to go to a yoga studio instead. Maybe you choose to work less hours if you can, so that you can rest your body more, right? Whatever choice, but it comes from the heart here, right? It's a heartfelt decision to make the choices that you do while you're searching here. I feel like with the One of Forces, it's as the underlying energy, it gets us closer to the soul. So I feel like I want to clarify from my another new deck I've bought here. It's called Through the Eyes of the Soul by Cheryl Yambrack Rose. Through the eyes of the soul. So we could have a hint maybe about something that has to do with the Akashic field. What's driving this process forward here for you? Even though it may be difficult, because I feel like connecting with someone with PTSD is not, that it's difficult, very difficult. Mental distress, right? Insomnia, heightened anxiety, always on alert, always on guard, always can't rest, can't relax, can't you know, that kind of stuff. And I've experienced it, so I know what this is like. It's terrible. Okay. I have be courageous. Truth conquers all. Be courageous. Truth conquers all. And I see this as a knight, right? He is on a quest. I have this feeling you are on some kind of quest journey here. It may require you to be brave and courageous to do what you do. But truth conquers all. It's interesting because I see the horse and then I see him. And it comes to me very like the horse is typically a very empathic and very trusting. It trusts its rider, I want to say. It has to. But this actually gives me a perfect picture of like a soul or an ego in a body, right? How these two can work together. The soul in a body and the ego in a body. The horse represents the body, the big ears, the alertness, the smell, the feeling under their hooves, the animalistic part of us that comes to the surface when we have been overwhelmed. The more animalistic part of us comes to the surface. That's my personal belief, that we sharpened the senses of any kind of threat that could be around us. So the nervous system is alert, right? You may hear all kinds of noises, or it's like there is a need to sharpen something because I want to survive, right? That's what the body wants. The body becomes very tuned to everything if it has experienced survival instincts awakened, right? Then it becomes attuned. It tunes itself because it cannot miss any danger. That's kind of the horse here. And then you have your ego in here that says, okay, I'm on a quest now. I'm looking for some answers. But the body, look at how the horse looks. It's like, oh, stop, right? He looks out there to the horizon for answers. But the horse is very present with us here, right now. It's almost like it looks exactly at us. And today it comes across a little bit like it's a bit frightened to take this quest on. Like whatever you could be experiencing here could be a bit frightening, or maybe a lot. So even if this knight has a long-term goal, the body doesn't. The body is here now, and it exists with whatever you present to it. So if you fill it up with fears and shame and guilt, that's what it feels in this exact moment. You may have a long-term goal, you may look to the horizon, you're looking for like the greater purpose of something, but your body doesn't. Your body, it reacts to the present now and what you tell it now. So even if you figure out a story from the past, it experience and you feel some fear, or you think about fears, you think about the horror of something, the body feels it as if it's occurring right now. And therefore we have to speak to it. We have to say, tell it, this is a past event. Everything is safe now. You are safe. Relax, relax, relax. And you have to also be mindful of how many situations you put yourself in. Even if you look for a long-term goal, your body could really react to this in a negative way. Like it could become extremely heightened, like a heightened nervous system, right? Alert nervous system, or like your senses get very like overly sensitive somehow. So when you figure stuff out, you have to be mindful how it affects the body, right? Okay. At the bottom of the deck, I get follow your heart. So, again, follow your heart here. Don't fear your heart, what your heart may tell you. So when you sit and you feel yourself, when you feel yourself, you drop from being very consciously aware, you drop from your mind space into your body, and you allow yourself to connect with your body through your heart. I remember when I was doing this work, a lot of people say to you that you sit and meditate, and I just couldn't do that. It's like my mind was racing and my body was felt unease, and I just didn't feel like I couldn't get anything out of it. And then I started doing something, and it just was some kind of spontaneous thing. It was like when I sat down and I put myself in a meditative state, sitting with my back straight, all still, I couldn't focus, or I couldn't seem to get my mind to stay still. I couldn't relax also. So what I figured out was that if I was rocking my body from side to side very slowly, I closed my eyes and I started a more deeper breathing technique. I dropped right into my body. I dropped right into my heart space. I could suddenly actually feel my body. I could feel aches and pain and joints that were not feeling great. I could feel my stomach. I could feel a lot of stuff. My throat chakra, tightness around the neck and stuff like that. And when I did that, emotions came to the surface, and they were not nice ones. there was a lot of grieving. So much sadness. And it was like it couldn't stop. Like it just couldn't stop. I don't know if it's the right way to heal from those stuff, those things, but I just know that every time I did this, I released something. At some point in time, I felt, does it even end? Will it ever end? Yeah, it does end at some time. It's like, I wouldn't say there are no more tears in there. There can definitely be tears, but it's like, I can sit and rock now. And just be present with my body. Without tears. Without the feeling that there's more to shed or there's more to purge. From time to time I still find something, but I have taken most of it and released it. This is where you follow your heart. You dump into the body or drop into the body for a moment and you feel. And what happens is that you can become an observer of what comes to the surface there as well. So you can become an observer of your outside world or even inside, mentally, mind associated. But you can also become a witness or an observer of your inner process, what comes to the surface. And yeah, you may need to be courageous to do that. Trust that it is here for a reason. Calm your body down as much as possible. And again, it's like the night is focused out somewhere else. Be focused, consciously focus about something. But also allow to see what happens with your body, right? Does the horse suddenly like scream something? Does it suddenly tremble? Does it suddenly want to change the course and go the other way? Does it suddenly kick you off its back? Be mindful about that. Like how do your body react to something is very important. The more reaction, the deeper wound, I believe, right? Okay, let's have a look at this above here. The Ark of the Covenant. This has come up so much, or at least it has come up a couple of times now. The Ark of the Covenant. I see this a little bit like, I want to say the answer, or the release, the healing, the precious, the exit sign, or it's like whatever is in the covenant here, whatever is inside the tent here, guarded by two people, whatever is in there it looks quite prominent. It's not, this is not a coffin from someone poor, right? This is something that is a treasure somehow. Well, treasure here, right? But it's something that is also treated as a treasure. It's handled as a treasure. So whatever is in the covenant is or in the ark here, has great significance. What do I want to say? It's because it's like it's positioned over the two here. And maybe that's why I wanted to talk about existence and this like primal sense of life force or something like that. Maybe why it's above it somehow, above what you are experiencing here. What you are experiencing is led by an undermining or an subconscious, maybe even, search for something here. A search that leads you somewhere. We see him, he looks a bit like a temple knight, right? So there could be something about going back in time till the first experience of something. Maybe it was with the temple knights, right? Maybe you had an experience, maybe you were a temple knight here. Maybe you had some other kind of experience that goes back in time, that required a certain code or honor. The knight always goes by a certain code or honor. They would give their life to save the king, right? The king. They would give their life to serve the king, to save the king. Maybe that was your part of the chess game, right? That you would give your life to serve another, someone you regarded as more valuable or more important than yourself. The knight has certain skills with the sword, fighting skills, right? Maybe he's a certain warrior here, protector. Maybe that's how you saw yourself. You were more of a protector and someone who serves, that's someone who should be in charge, like the king. Maybe that's why it's so difficult to forgive yourself for something here. If you feel like that's your identity, right, that you identify more with being the protector, the one who should serve another, something more, something bigger than yourself, then if you lose that one, if that one goes missing or that one is lost in battle or you in a car accident, what do you do then? It's like you have lost the thing that you looked up to. You have lost the power, right? That was the person or the circumstance that should. It's like losing the king in the chess game, right? It's like there are no one else now to serve. There's no one here to serve. There's no one to there's no one to serve. There's no leader I look up to. or whatever the king may, whatever the king may represent here for you, can be like a dogma. It can be an ideology. It can be a father figure, right? It can be God. It can be whatever it is. But it's like, if that doesn't exist anymore, if it doesn't exist anymore, I can't serve that one. I can't be the protector. I should have protected them, right? I should have taken care of them. I should have been more. I should have, whatever this may be. But it's like I lose my, if they are not there, I lose my purpose. Because I'm second or third or fourth, and I have lost the one. I have lost the one that is in charge somehow, or I have lost what leads me. I've lost the leader, or as I've said in other readings, maybe your compass. It's like you've lost the guideline, right? You've lost the book. You've lost the plan. The plan, the leadership, the person, the whatever it is, it's like it's lost. So how does a temple knight now serve if it cannot serve the church? If the church disappeared, what would a temple knight do then? Because all it has been, like, all it has done all its life is to become a temple knight. It doesn't know anything else. It's what it has been working for all its life. To become this one, to serve the church, right? Whether, I don't care if you like the stories, it's about the temple knight, but if you were a temple knight once in a different lifetime, and the church fell, like the church fell, everything you worked for, everything you identified with, everything you felt was the right thing to do disappears. What do you do then? What like the purpose of life? What is your purpose of life then? Let's say this has nothing to do with temple knights. Let's say this has to do with you lived in Atlantis. You were not a leader, right? But you were in between hierarchy, in the hierarchy of Atlantis. And Atlantis was swept over with water and everything disappeared. And you were the only one who was away at that point in time. You were given a mission, so you were on the mainland when this flood occurred. And you come back to Atlantis, or you try to, and you see there's only water. What do you do then now? What do you do? Do you get my point? It's like the entire you, the entire identity you have built about something is no more, cannot be anymore. It's like the game doesn't exist anymore. The king is dead, or you've lost your leader, you have lost your compass, you have lost the guiding light, you have lost the voice that tells you what to do, right? You've lost that. How do you carry on then, right? It's like, it's almost like realizing I have been maybe a pawn here, or let's say you were the horse here. Yeah, you were the horse in the game. You, literally, you were the horse in the chess game. The chess horse has certain moves it can make, but it cannot make the same moves as the tower, for instance, or the queen, right? So maybe you feel responsible for something, but you only have horse moves here. You cannot go all over the chessboard at the same time. You only have like one forward, two aside, or two forward and one aside, right? You can only do that. No matter what, that's the rules of the knight. That's what he is capable of, the knight here. Other pieces have other ways of traveling over the board, but not the knight, or not the horse, right? Maybe you feel responsible for something, and you were not the leader. You were not the leader of the pack. Maybe you were a child, and you looked up to your father, but you lost him, right? It feels like you've lost your guiding light. It feels like you are alone, right? Take it how it resonates, but it's like you've lost the compass of some sense, a leader, the one who tells you what to do, what is right and wrong, what you have trusted in. It could even be that maybe you were a temple knight, maybe a modern one, right? And you have lived by certain belief systems. And now it's like this has disappeared. You can no longer live in that belief system. The leader is gone. The leader is not there. It has gone, and now you are the only one, maybe still upholding it, but you have to ask yourself if you want to uphold it. What if you could be a queen here? Or even the king? What if you could be the queen? The queen can travel all over the board. What if instead of being the knight, you become a queen? That is a shift, because the knight follows orders. The queen is a ruler with her king, but it is a ruler. It's a majesty. The knight is not a majesty. The temple knight is not the same as a priest or an archbishop, right? There is something about the hierarchy level. You can think more for yourself. I think there's more here. You are more than whatever role you have thought about for yourself. And that this is what the ark contains, I feel like. The ark contains the more in your life, whatever that is. The moreness. We could even say it could be the feeling of freedom, the ability to do whatever you want. You are no longer obliged to live by a certain code here. You could be given freedom. Maybe the ark contains a fool. It contains you taking new risks, going out there, having a new beginning, right? That could be what the ark consists of, and you're looking for the answers to figure something out. Somehow I get the feeling that ark also literally links to the original you here. That there's something about the ark that there's more. What is this? So I'm very drawn to the horse in this picture here. It's almost like the covenant, the ark here. It has something in it that links to, I feel like, maybe an Akashic experience you've had, but I get almost the feeling that it's no longer the knight. You're no longer the knight. Maybe you're the horse. What was the horse's role with the temple knights? Well, the horse had to follow the rules of the knight. It is an instructed animal. It's no longer a wild animal. It's an instructed animal. It has learned that it is less or second to the knight, the rider. The rider has the rules. Oh, yeah, that's what it is. It's like, that's what I feel like. Now I get it. It's like what you feel like, what you have felt like in life. You have lost someone. You have lost your knight here. Because this is the one who gives direction, right? He may be following a direction of the king, but he gives direction to the horse. And the horse rides wherever the knight wants to ride. What it feels like is like you've lost the knight. So now you are the horse with no rider. Even if it was just a knight, not a king, you are now the horse. You're not the king's horse. No, you are the knight's horse, meaning that you are, the hierarchy level becomes less and less. You are now like the anxious horse who has no leader. Like the horse needs the rider, right? That's the, at least if it has been instructed. When it was wild once, it did what it wanted to do, right? It was just running to where it wanted to be until humans took it and instructed it to be codependent with with humans, right? We instructed the horse to be a servant of ours, a workhorse, a servant. In this case, I get the feeling of like a horse without the knight or without its rider, and therefore a horse without a leader. The one who pinpoints where we are going and how fast and so on. It's like you haven't got, you are the horse and you are instructed to follow a leader, but the leader is not there. So you kind of have to uninstruct yourself. You have to uninstruct yourself back to more wildness, you could say. At least I feel like that's the way forward in healing, because if you stay here, you will always feel like the horse without a rider. Still codependent on someone who tells you what to do and think and say and eat and when to rest and when to ride and when to do whatever. Here now it's like the horse has to start all over again, being a horse. Empathic, very gentle, very also very powerful, right? It has a lot of horsepower. Maybe you need to really recognize how strong you are. Like you have power. But it's like you have to get to know yourself again, right? You have to figure out who you are here. And you can't do it while you're in the game here. While you're in the game, you will be defeated as the horse because you have no rider here. The horse is very, empathic. It's gentle. It can be like a psychic. In my animal spirit deck, it's like the top card of the earth element. It's very in tune with nature, very, well, it's alert, but it kind of, there is this sense of like when you see a wild horse just riding in with the wind, in the wind, it just gives me this very strong feeling of freedom, right? A young horse playing in a field, right? Jumping around, right? It's this untamed, like no reins holds you here. That's what I feel. It's like you have to unrein yourself from whatever has instructed you here, whatever you have been instructed to follow. Because the Temple Knights, well, they did a lot of stuff, but not all of it is considered to be good, I think. So the courageousness could be that even though you have no rider now, this is over, right? There are no Temple Knights out there. Maybe there are, but we don't know much about it. It's a secrecy then, right? But maybe you have always been like the horse consciousness, right? The horse has seen stuff, right? The horse has seen stuff. It has witnessed the slaying of witches or whatever it is. It has slain, it has seen that, right? It has witnessed it. It stood right beside it, beside the rider, doing it perhaps. Maybe you were the horse in this, like you witnessed all of this. Or you witnessed a situation with a sense of slaughter or something. And you are now the horse without the rider, right? Grieving that you have lost your rider or leader. I hope this makes sense. Grieving that you have lost a leader or someone very, very, very important here for you, right? Because you are codependent with them, like it's difficult to you to exist if they are not there, right? But somehow I get the feeling that the arc here contains exactly what it is you need to maybe uninstruct yourself, unprogram yourself, or unrein, like to take the reins off and take your freedom back. That's what the arc has here for you. That is what is installed. That is what you are working towards. You're working towards opening the arc here. The arc of freedom, where you are no longer held in some kind of dynamic, I want to say, that where you feel very powerless here and defenseless. Very unsafe for you to be here. That's also why the stallion here, it's like the leader of the pack, right? It's a masculine, right? I don't know, maybe masculine energy. It has the feeling that a sense of the masculine energy, or the like the strong mentor, the strong like defender, the protector of the herd. You know, it's like it's kind of in between something here. It's trapped somehow, or like there are walls around it, or something that you can't access it, right? Unless you access it from a different point of view. Maybe it needs to be an emotional way. Maybe it needs to be a psychic way. That you somehow connect with it. But again, it's within a tent. I feel like when the way you can connect with it is maybe indoor. Like it could be something like, like a psychic experience. It could be the reconnection with your heart here, your body. It could be the feeling of like attending something that happens within a tent or within a building. I also see like the feeling it's nighttime. It could be quiet here, quiet. When I look at this, it's almost like it gives me this feeling of like a pharaoh coffin or something, like or an ark that contains golden treasures, right? And we see how there is these carrier arms here where slaves can they can transport, they can walk with this one, they're bearing it, lift it up and walk with it. It's that important. It's that precious. It has decoration, right? There's definitely something about something more here. There's more to you, I think, than being the like a compassless or directionless horse here. There's more to you. But you have to decide every day, making one more attempt, or keeping the focus concentrated on when you tap into your emotions here, into your body. You may encounter feelings, but you may also encounter words, or why you have the feelings, like the tears are here because I feel very sad about something. Maybe you don't know what the sadness is about, you just have to feel the sadness. And eventually you get to something. Eventually you get deep down enough to figure something out. Messages will come along with it. It's like the body is now speaking back to your conscious mind. So you get information from your subconscious into your conscious mind, and you can then interpret it and understand it. And when you do that, you will find that you have to maybe help yourself. You have to be kind. You have to be understanding. You have to allow for whatever feelings to come to the surface. Maybe you need to forgive yourself. Maybe you need to forgive others. Maybe you need to give yourself a lot of love here and compassion. And maybe also realizing that you could be more than the horse in this chess game. Or if you really want to play this game, you have to be more than the horse. Maybe you need to become the queen, right? And the only way you can become queen is by uninstructing yourself from being the horse of a knight. This can be done with your perception, with your mind. If you start identifying with something else, slowly but surely, not overdo it, because again, as I said, if you tap into something that is too much, your body and your feelings reject it too much. It has to be eatable. It has to be within reach, like just within reach, right? And then you do, and then when you come into that reach, you build a little more. And then you come to that, and then you build a little more. So at some point in time, you have gone that far from down here to up here. But if you take it stepwise, it may not feel like an overwhelm, right? I remember I started at some point in time working with the idea of Isis. She has been on my mind for a very long time. But I just couldn't. I couldn't work with her. It was like every time I tried to identify with a powerful Isis queen, a strong warrior queen, big, great mother energy, I couldn't. It was like my body said no. It said no to it. So I actually had to jump into my body to figure out why. Why couldn't I identify with more at that point in time? And I found something. I found something deeply embedded in me that prohibited that. So when I found it, it was like a release of something started, and I could now start to identify with something bigger and more. So let's have a look. Let's take a card on the Ark of the Covenant. And I'm now using actually my Iris Oracle cards that I've been buying. So Isis is the queen of Osiris, and she actually loses Osiris. He was killed by his brother. And it was a jealousy thing and a power game thing. Seth wanted the power, and he killed Osiris. And Isis actually managed to gather his body parts back together and bring him back to life. So that's quite powerful, right? But here we have it again. It's this idea that you bring something back to life, thriving life, that potentially feels half dead or half living because it needs the rider. When it's codependent, it needs the rider to feel whole or one, right? So if you are outside a codependency, and you are codependent, you will feel a loss, a lack. You will feel a tremendous yearning for something, powerless, defenseless, all this stuff. Especially if you were the one who was instructed to take instruction, not to say the instructions. Not the one in charge, the one who was following orders, right? Then you are in a very vulnerable place. If you lose your rider, if you lose your father, your mother, your whatever this is for you. As I said, a cat. Maybe you lose your entire unit in a like military unit, right? Maybe you've lost your parents in a car crash. Maybe it's a feeling you lost a limb, or you lost part of your health. You cannot walk anymore. You cannot see anymore. Maybe it's eyesight. You know, take that how it resonates for you, right? But it's like you have no control over something. So you feel like you are left to the masses to decide, right? It's like you are defenseless somehow, powerless. So I have the card that comes out here is Initiation, Spiritual Testing of Ra and the Lady Isis. Ra is the sun god, right? Often depicted as a hawk or something like that. I believe actually there is a story about Isis. Isis, she tricked Ra in some sense. Like she tricked him. And in that way she won. She tricked him. Well, Ra is the sun god, right? Hierarchically, we would say that Ra is over Isis. Like she is, she's not in the same position. She's not in the same position as Ra. It says initiation, but it came out upside down, so it may feel like maybe initiation is not ready yet. The things that you are looking for, or the freedom, the exit sign, the healing, the whatever this is not there yet. The initiation was not passed, or you still have more to learn about this, maybe. You still have more to learn about a situation here. The arc is, it's not leaving, like the arc is still here. It's still present. It's not that you're losing it, right? You're not losing your ability to find your way out. But I get the feeling, because it's reversed, that there's something that may not have been learned yet. Something you haven't figured out yet here. Again, initiation would say that you would just go out there, or you would just open it. But why aren't you open it? If you could open it, why aren't you doing it? There must be something here that this idea that I can't. Now it also makes sense that the Fool is not there, right? That the Fool was upside down. It's because if the compass is not there, the inner leadership, if the inner leadership is not there, because we have always been dependent on the rider or the leader here of the pack somehow, if we have always identified with being the follower, I'm the follower of something, not the leader, I'm not capable of that, then you would not ever be the Fool, because he goes out there alone. You would be the dog that follows him, right? You would be the one that follows this one. This is the leader who he has some kind of idea, and then he goes out there towards it. But if you have never been that, or never thought you could be that, You were never given the opportunity to be that. Maybe you clung as the dog to its master, right? A codependent team, like you were with someone else, and when you were with them, you could achieve great things. They were dependent on you, you were dependent on them. Same here. But the fool can actually go out there without the dog. He doesn't need the dog. It's nice that the dog is there, but he doesn't need it. Right? That's what I feel like. There is some kind of inner leadership that has still not developed, or is still, the inner leadership is still trapped between two pillars or something. Okay. It's like the initiation is possible, but I feel like it cannot be obtained at this point in time because, or you are not, the initiation is not being done because of something. And I think it has to do with this feeling of maybe you don't trust enough in yourself, right? You don't trust that you can do it. You don't trust that you have what it takes. Let's have a look at this one. Well, the cards don't really have a reversed way of being read. It's just that when it comes out like that, I feel like I have to read what the book says as if it is upright. Because I feel like it has to do with what you need to conquer, maybe, here. What you need to conquer to actually be able to stand on your own 2 feet and make your own decisions and become the fool, right? So, the initiation, spiritual testing of Ra and the Lady Isis. When you are being spiritually initiated into the mysteries of light, love, and power, there are moments of deep challenge. The key is to find the light within the challenge, the learning, growth, and wisdom that can be summoned to turn the challenge into an opportunity for healing. Whilst the scorching heat of Ra seeks to burn through any resistance, the Lady Isis, with compassion and cleverness, will protect you from burning and instead enable you to be nourished and grow from the light of Ra. Let Isis help you pass the test of intense growth as you thrive into new life. For advanced aspirants on the path, initiation will occur at various stages. Sometimes your entire life will feel like an initiation. At other times, specific areas will be flowing easily, whilst others are deeply challenging. This oracle comes as confirmation that you are not needlessly suffering. If you can find the light within the struggle, test, or challenges that face you now, you will experience breakthrough healing. It is the almost unbearable solar fire of Ra that can cleanse the soul of wounds, and the love, compassion, and intelligence of Isis that can temper the heat of Ra and stop it from burning and drying you out, or else you would be left with nothing but emptiness, anger, bitterness, and despair in your heart. These are not meant to be the outcomes of life's challenges. Rather than losing love and hope through the challenges of life, the initiate understands all aspects of life are growth opportunities in various stages of disguise, waiting to be discovered. As an initiate, this oracle urges you to honor life as a gift. and treat any challenge or pressure as a way for you to grow into a brighter and purer light, capable of great spiritual service on this planet. That spiritual service includes growing an ability to be able to love freely and beyond limits, to love with courage and faith. In fact, initiation for you now, dear one, is an opening to new levels of power and peace, self-possession and love. There are such sweet fruits awaiting for you at the top of the tree you are currently climbing. It may seem as though you are in barren land at times, with little hope, nourishment, or encouragement, yet your spiritual oasis is not far away. The Lady Isis and the power of Ra together are helping you grow. Stay focused on the Lady and her love for you, and you shall pass through the desert of initiation unharmed and deeply transformed. Yeah, and now that actually makes sense also that we have the stallion between the two fire elements here. That could be the fires of Ra. And maybe you feel like it's difficult to get out of those fires, that you feel stuck in them, you feel stuck in anger or like self-sabotage, bitterness, angriness, self-hate, or hate towards others, that you are stuck in that. And that's what is actually prohibiting you from having a new beginning here. So then the initiation is a sense of a testing, right? That what I feel like you need to do is allow Lady Isis to come in. The love here, right? Allow the love to come in and soothe all the anger, the bitterness, the fear, allow forgiveness to come in. Allow at least to heal yourself, right? Some say that forgiveness is difficult because to forgive someone else who hurts us deeply, that is not possible. But if you consider the other way around, as long as you hold that position, that person still has power over you, right? What they did, their actions still have power over you, even though it may be years back, even though it may be centuries back, or even lifetimes back. They still hold some kind of power over you. Is that what you want, right? So forgiveness is sometimes also for ourselves, like that. It's a way of healing ourselves, to release, like to cut the cord to someone, right? To cut the cord to someone, especially if they are dead. They are no longer here, you can't even talk to them, right? Sometimes we need to give that forgiveness to ourselves. So initiation is every time we feel the fire of Ra, the anger, the frustration, the deep, deep bitterness or sadness or fear, and then the compassion, the loving healing of Lady Isis, right? But I get the feeling that maybe it's difficult for you to give yourself compassion or find forgiveness. It was reversed, and I want to give it a little bit of attention, because if we can't seem to forgive ourselves here, the new beginning is not happening. If we can't seem to forgive the Ra for firing fire at us, maybe, if the Ra is like to be understood as a father figure maybe, or as a boss, or a grandparent, or some kind of mentor, or someone, Maybe you need to release yourself from being the idea of being an apprentice and actually being the master, right? That you are not just the apprentice, you are the master. Or, you're not just a follower here or a student, you are actually a master. And I start to identify with that instead of being I'm just a student, or I'm just a student of life, or I'm a student of the ancient history, or I'm a student of, maybe you are a student, but what if you were more? What if you were a master, right? What if you were a king? What if you were an emperor? So the new beginning comes with that. It comes with this forgiveness maybe, or release of guilt, or that I have to stay and honor this. I have to honor whom I lost. And I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, but you can still honor them by thinking about them from time to time, but not necessarily by repressing who you are, right? I don't believe that your writer here, the teacher, wants you to be in pain and suffering and grief. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. At the bottom of the deck for the initiation card here, I have Spirit of Isis. So it says Triumph of the Goddess. And here again, it means that allow the water in, right? Allow the healing water in. Allow the compassion, the kindness, the understanding, the nurture, the self-care. That if you allow this to come in, that's what, she is the triumpher here, right? She can triumph any kind of fire with her water. But as long as we keep the volcano open, as long as we keep the fire burning, right, it also burns you. So the tragedy, the bitterness, the anger, the hate, or whatever this is, as long as we keep it alive, it burns you as well. Especially if this is something internal, like this is something happening in your subconscious, it burns you from the inside. If you want to work with the initiation process here, between Ra and the Lady Isis, if you feel like you are torn between two, that you feel torn in your fire, and it prohibits you from taking your own leadership in life, you can work with the incantation. You can say this incantation to finish the ritual, to get yourself initiated, or as an independent practice to assist you during times of intense initiation with the fire, right? When you need help to stay true to your path, because it is difficult not to believe that everything is just going wrong. It's difficult not to believe that everything is just going wrong, meaning that it's difficult to believe that everything goes right. So in moments of doubt, I want to say, in moments of relapse, or in moments of feelings of like you're spiraling more downwards. Maybe this incantation may help you a little bit. So it goes. Winged mother, protect me from the winged mother, protect me from the fiercest light. Shelter me in cool sanctuary of her wing in flight. Wraps me in safety of her compassion and peace. As with trust the portal of initiation I reach. I pass through the portal with trust complete. I now successfully attain this feat. So I just repeat this again, right? Winged mother, protect me from the fiercest light. Shelters me in cool sanctuary of her wings in flight. Wraps me in safety of her compassion and peace. As with trust the portal of initiation I reach. I pass through the portal with trust complete. I now successfully attain this feat. So trust is mentioned a few times in this incantation. So there could be a feeling that you're not trusting the new you, not trusting that good could come. But when you actually go through the initiation portal, you will be able to trust. So this is where you turn this around, right? You turn it around, and you can become this fool. You can become the one that has the leadership. That's what I feel like. As with trust the portal of initiation I reach, I pass through the portal with trust complete. I now successfully attain this feat. You see, it's like you may doubt yourself, right? You may second guess what you're experiencing. But as long as you decide to trust in something new, as long as you decide to trust in something new, as long as you decide to maybe trust that there could be more for you here in life, that would be okay, there can be. So if you just carry a little bit of trust, a little bit, even if in your moments of doubt you still allow for trust, because if you are sitting in moments of darkness and doubt, and there's no hope there, that there's nothing that can take you out of that situation, nothing is going to happen. But just one tiny second guessing of the darkness, one tiny thought of light, one tiny thought of hope and trust can take you through that process that you may need to go through here. That's what I have for you, I think. Yeah, that's what I feel like I have for you. It is possible to have the initiation if you trust it, right? It's almost like when I look at this card, it's like he's looking at it. Like he's looking at the moreness, right? He's looking at the possibility that you could be the master, not just an apprentice or a student or something, right? It's like you're looking at it, but it feels trapped in something here. Or I have to go through the portal of Ra here. All this fire, all this anger, all this terrible feeling of bitterness and everything. And if I go through it, I could be burned up. Yeah, you could. And you're not doing it. It's crossed here. The reason why you're not doing it's because you may not feel ready. It needs an amount of Lady Isis, right? It needs an amount of compassion and understanding and kindness to yourself. And a reminder maybe why you are now standing here looking at this. Why you're standing and looking at it. Because it reminds you that if I actually go here, if I manage to go here, I leave something behind. I leave the suffering behind. I leave the feeling of grief behind. I leave the feeling of being maybe guilty behind. And whom do I become then? Whom do I become? Something you haven't identified with. You could become the fool now. You could become this one. But again, it could be this feeling, this is, but that's not me. I'm this, right? And that again, you have to realize, yes, you say you are this, but that's your ego talking. The ego links with your body, your feelings. The ego links with mortality, fears, survival mechanism. It links with, not with your soul. This could be your soul. Your soul is full of fire. It wants to go somewhere. But as long as we limit ourselves with the fears in our lives, we live in the past. You look at this and you see the opportunity, but you still stay here. Why is that? It's because it feels dangerous. Why does it feel dangerous? It's because you allow yourself to connect with an earlier experience. And when you do that, you tell yourself that experience is still present here. It's still dangerous for me to even touch this one. I cannot be that. I cannot be that. I'm the horse, right? But maybe you could be that one. So when you're doubting yourself, maybe use the incantation if it helps you somehow to call in for protective energies from the Great Mother. Compassion, right? It says here in the book that it is the most unbearable solar fire of Ra that can cleanse the soul of wounds, and the love, compassion, and intelligence of Isis that can temper the heat of Ra and stop it from burning and drying you out, or else you would be left with nothing but emptiness, anger, bitterness, and despair in your life, right? That is the exact thing. Isis can help you, right, to live and not become trapped in the emptiness of anger, bitterness, despair, right? She is the one, but you have to allow her in. Or I would say another feminine energy. You can work with anyone, Kuan Yin, Mother Mary, but the nurturing, caring, motherly deities, that's the ones you need to connect with here. Not searching for them in other people. You have it inside you. You have it inside you here. And you can be initiated to actually be able to do more, have other responsibilities, right? Something that is important. Yeah. That's what I feel like I have for you. Oh, I hope this helped you somehow. I don't know, but there is more, right? There is more, and just a tiny little spark is enough to second guess from a status quo and getting you into a surge or just a tiny little bit. If you allow it to come in, it can actually change, make dramatic changes in your life. One at a time, just one at a time, right? That's what I feel like for you. Healing is always available if we just choose it, right? If we choose it. But we can stay in, as I said, bitterness, despair, anger, frustration. And it can burn us up, but there's nothing there. It's empty. There's no life there, right? That's a hell loop, what I call it. It's like you're in a loop that keeps you kind of just spinning in the same. And it feels like that. It's like a hell loop, like there's nothing there. Nothing beautiful, nothing flourishing, nothing. It just keeps going. You need the love here, the self-care. You need to give that to yourself. Otherwise, you could be doomed to this half-living feeling. Okay? This is what I have for you. I'm sorry that it kind of has this structure or this... it's a deep one, I think. So I hope this helped someone out there. Be gentle with yourself, right? If you do feel like the masterless horse or the riderless horse here, and you feel so kind of powerless somehow, you definitely need to care for yourself here, right? You need be so good to yourself. And also realize it's like, yeah, maybe you feel like you've lost the compass or you lost something vital in your life here. Somehow. Even if you can't recall anything, just trust me, it's in your Akash somehow. At some point in time, you may have lost something that gave very clear direction. And now you feel like you're without it. Okay? This is what I have for you. I hope this helped you somehow. Take very good care of yourself out there, Sagittarius. I send you my very best. Love and light to you. Bye bye.